It's halfway through January. And today we are here for another Business Analysis Live. My name is Susan Moore. I'm the Community Engagement Manager at IIBA.
And my name is Scott Bennett. I'm the Manager of Business Analysis here at the International Institute of Business Analysis. Today we're talking about building your communication skills. And this is a really important skill for business analysis professionals. Sometimes when we look at skills, we have to prioritize things. This is a really important one. We'll talk about that in just a minute.
And you know what, Scott? Sometimes good communication means knowing when not to talk. And that makes me think about the last Business Analysis Live we had, where we were talking about what happened in Vegas.
That's right.
Yeah, that was actually, we did share it, right? So maybe we weren't following our own logic. But hey, if you didn't see the last podcast, that was a really fun one. It was a best of. So you'll want to check that out.
Yeah, and we got a lot of reaction from that. It's really doing well on YouTube. So people really enjoyed it. Go check that out. So our topic today, building communication skills. Communication skills are identified as the number one skill for the business analysis profession based on the annual survey we do at IIBA. So we've got a guest today that's joining us to help us with this topic.
I want to welcome Jane Osemwegie. Jane, here you are. Hey, welcome. It's so nice to have you.
Same here. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Susan. Thanks, Scott, for having me here today. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, right? We're halfway through. It's unbelievable. So, hey, tell folks a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. So I'm a kindness advocate. I love to, push out kindness out there in the world because I believe in what you put out there in the world come back to you in a triple fold. So I'm very conscious of what I put out there in the world. I'm a kindness advocate. I'm a published author. I recently published a book titled Unleashing Your Inner Power, a Roadmap to Self-Discovery, and growth as well. It's currently on Amazon. Just help me get it out there. And also, I'm a distinguished Toastmaster. I've been a Toastmaster for 8 years now, and Toastmasters is a public speaking club that helps to improve your leadership skills and your presentation skills. And currently, I'm an immediate past area director in District 45 in North America, where I, coach 7 international clubs here in Canada, and those clubs earn your distinguished recognition by Toastmasters International. I'm also a product management professional, and recently I got featured by Toastmaster International magazines and a podcast where I shared my stories and share how my communication skills has greatly improved being a Toastmaster. And also I am currently the Vice President of IIBA in Nova Scotia. So I'm really happy to be here, going to be learning today, sharing a little insight and learning from everyone. Thank you, Scott and Susan, for having me here today.
Yes.
Well, great to have you. Thank you very much. You and I have a bit of a shared background. I went through the Toastmasters program, competed in speech competitions, and it was something that really elevated my communication skills and my confidence as a business analysis professional. So I'm glad we're going to talk about some of these skills today. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, most definitely. By the way, I also did Toastmasters. I didn't take it to the level that you guys did, but I just a shout out, because I think Toastmasters is such a great organization if you want to build confidence in your communication. So shout out to them. Let's start with that first technique, which, often when we think about communication, we think about the talking part, but we don't think about what really makes you a successful communicator, and that's the listening part. So active listening skills were tops on your list, Jane. Tell us more about why active listening is essential to good communication.
Well, first, I think communication skills today is a must-have skills we need in today's world. You should be able to have the ability to sell yourself, be able to talk to clients, be able to help to talk to people around you, and being a good communicator, it creates a better understanding for people as well. And being a business analysis professional, you'll be able to, understand your customer pain points of customers' clients, and it's very pertinent to develop those active listening skills. And active listening skills is a top skills in communication skills and techniques that we need to, essentially develop, because it involves, absorbing information, you able to share ideas and reflect back through questions and your body language that you heard them as well. So for instance, as a business analysis professional, you are into your sessions where you're gathering requirements and you try to analyze the current state, analyzing this gap and define the future state. So it's very pertinent that you actively listen to your customers so you can understand those pain points and able to come up with strategies that you'll be able to, resolve those issues and being the problem solver that you are as a business analyst. So I think active listening skills is something that we need to harness as well, because it helps to create a deeper attention and create empathy as you listen and you develop understanding of what those issues are and those requirements that you're eliciting as well. That's something I think that it's a great active listening skills is a great skills that we need to develop if you want to be an effective communicator.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the techniques that I've shared with people over the years that really helps is active listening isn't just listening and hearing the message and paying attention to what they're listening to, but also if you replay it in your own words, it can confirm your understanding. So it's not just listening to the words, but making sure you understand it is really important. So yeah, that's good suggestion, Jane, in terms of being a key skill.
Absolutely, because it also helps you to, ask the right questions when you're actively listening to your clients. You ask the right questions. You don't just ask, just for instance, you're in a meeting where your client are telling you their pinpoint, telling you their issues, or you're in a strategy meeting as well. So when you actively listen, you will be able to ask the right questions and you will be able to manage your emotions. So there was a recent, article I read like couple of years ago. I can't remember where I got that platform, where I saw it on the platform. And the article says that most of the conflict that we have is as a result of lack of listening. So most of the over 80% of the conflict that we have is that the party didn't fully actively listen to one another. So for instance, you're having a conflict with party A, maybe you're speaking, he or she is speaking, you're not listening. So when you actively listen, when you master the act of actively listening skills, you'll be able to resolve your conflicts. Conflicts are inevitable in workplace, in personal life as well, with dealing with people, relationship. But when you master the art of active listening skills, that will help to reduce your conflicts you have, minimize that as well, and you'll be able to sharpen your conflict resolution skills.
I often think, when you're not actively listening, when you are already thinking about the next question in your mind, or when you are thinking about what it is that you're going to say, that's how you know you are not actively listening. Because when you are actively listening, you are making space in your mind for the words that you are hearing. And you are listening without bias or judgment or thinking about yourself. You just really are listening. So that one, we talk about active listening. It sounds like you should be doing something, but in this case, you should be opening your ears and kind of closing your mind. I mean, like not running that voice in your mind and really listening.
Yeah.
Exactly. I absolutely agree as well, because it involves you to be, be mindfulness, practice mindfulness. When when you want to master the art of active listening skills, you have to be practice mindfulness. Your mind has to be there as well. And there are different ways you can master the art of active listening skills. I know at times we humans, things can come into your mind when you're in a meeting, you're having discussions with your peers, your cross-functional teams as a business analyst, because you're a problem solver. At times you can just drift away, but it's always good to practice mindfulness. That helps to sharpen your, active listening skills as well. And also, focusing on the intent and the purpose of the conversation. When you're in a meeting, it's very good to, take out distraction, just focus on the purpose of the conversations. Okay, we are in the meeting to discuss this process improvement, or in the meeting to discuss a strategy that can, increase our customers base, increase the revenue line of the organization. You just might have to be there. You have to, practice mindfulness, incorporate mindfulness, and fully be active there. And that will help to take out distraction, and you're able to gather enough requirements you need to gather, able to gather enough information as quickly as possible. And I also think that it's also very pertinent to pay attention to your body language as you're listening as well, because body language is very key. When body language entails, that's conscious and subconscious gestures and movements, and expressing and conveying your information, such as your facial expression, your postures, your hand gestures, and your eye contact. All those helps to, sharpen your active listening skills, as well. And as well as also encouraging a verbal clue. So in the meetings, you're having discussion with your key stakeholders, cross-functional teams, your strategy meetings, or your senior leadership meeting as well. Engage in encouraging verbal clues. That also helps to improve your active listening skills. And such as, okay, when someone is talking, your stakeholders is talking to you, or you're in a meeting where you are facilitating the sessions, or you're just there to gather requirement, just listen as well. Always good to use phrases like, yes, I see, I understand. All those gestures in our company with smiling and nodding helps you to listen, helps you to improve your active listening skills. It also shows your credibility. It also shows that you're very efficient. It always shows that people could trust you, you know what you're doing and you're following. And that can help to build trust as well. And that also helps to harness your leadership skills as well.
Right.
You brought up body language there. That's actually another one of the techniques that can help us. And so I think you mentioned a couple there, and I want to highlight those because there's the listening that you do with your ears, but there's also what your body is saying when and it is your body and it is everybody else's in the room. So you mentioned some things like nodding, or making eye contact with someone, in virtual meetings, making sure that you are connecting with them and looking at the other person as they are talking to see if they are connecting with you as well. So body language, I think, is another one of those areas that really, when you understand it and you understand yours, you can start to adapt some of your own behaviors to make sure that people know that you are communicating the right kinds of information.
Yeah, and I think, Susan, you do this frequently when you're talking with people. You like to make notes when you listen, and communicating to the person you're talking to that I'm just going to make a few notes as we're walking through this, so that they don't misperceive that as you're not paying attention, you're just doodling or something like that, especially when people can't see what we're doing in a virtual environment. I was in a meeting just this week where someone was having a problem with their video camera, and there was a bit of audio shuffle going on, and it ended up that someone was trying to get their thought out, but they couldn't. But because I couldn't see them visually, I didn't pick up on that cue. So it's been interesting. We work in a pure virtual environment where we see our videos. We always share our videos. When I didn't have that video cue, I really missed that component of the conversation.
Yeah. I think body language has become a little more complicated in our virtual world. Jane?
Absolutely. It's very great because there's a whole lot of nonverbal communication that speaks when you're talking to people. The way you nod, the way your body is. Your body speaks even more than your voice. Your voice is just what you're speaking is just 7%. Your vocal stays about 55%, and the rest is your body language as well. So just say, for instance, you're in a meeting and the customer is telling you, okay, this is what we need to do. This is the issues I'm having. How can you resolve it? And you're just saying, okay. And when your body is in sync with what you're saying, people know that you're following, and people know that they trust you, and they believe that, oh, Susan can do this, Scott can do this, because because your body language is speaking for you. Your body language is doing the talking as well. So it's not just about what I'm saying, what I'm saying, is it in sync with my body as well? Is it in sync with my voice? Am I saying, okay? Am I saying, okay, I'm going to do it? Yes, this is fantastic. I think I'm going to come up with process map. I'm going to come up with strategy. I'm going to engage my team. When you're talking with confidence as well, that shows that he or she has this credibility to handle this project. So, body language also helps to improve your active listening skills as well. And I also think asking the right questions in meeting. Asking the right questions. When you ask the right questions, because you're actively listening, you'll be able to come up with some questions, some gaps along the way there, because you're actively listening. You don't just ask repeated questions, but you're asking to clarify your knowledge, to clarify that, okay, I truly understand what you're trying to say, or you think that this functionality will help to take out this gap. This functionality, when we build it up, is going to increase the bottom line of the organization, increase our revenue base. because you're actively listening, you are in sync, you know what is happening. So that's what active listening skills does as well. Asking the right questions, and that helps to sharpen your active listening skills. So I know there are some situations as well you don't have to ask questions. Probably you're just following, you're just in sync as well. Way to also build, sharpen your active listening skills is to also share and summarize. Maybe at the end of the meeting, Susan, I think what we discussed is I just want to recap just to be sure I got all the questions correctly. It's just more like you're validating what has been said, just to be sure that you understood. And you can say that in your own ways, in your own language, like in your way you understood it very well. So you reflect, you summarize, and share what you've gathered so far in the meeting, and that helps you to validate. Okay, I got the right information, and that's those techniques can help to sharpen your active listening skills.
Okay.
So the other thing that I'm hearing, and I think there's a theme here. So whether it's active listening or body language, I think both of those, we talked about mindfulness, but I think there's also empathy that goes into being able to listen actively and to understand people's body language, right? Because sometimes our body language and our verbal language don't match. And sometimes that is when those two things are happening, and when you're watching it, right? That's a form of active listening as well. I hear Susan saying she doesn't have pain points, but her body language says she is really uncomfortable with this conversation, right? So empathy is, I think, another one of those communication skills that really helps us to not just hear people, but to really acknowledge and understand them. What are some tips or some thoughts about empathy that you have, Jane?
Oh, thanks, Susan. Yeah, so empathy is more about the ability to see other people's emotions and understand their feelings as if they were your own. Showing empathy means show you understand. So, for instance, as a business analyst professional, you are in a meeting where you're having a discussion with your cross-functional teams. Let's say, for instance, your developers, development teams, the UX designer, and you're trying to explain they are trying to explain, let's say, for instance, they're trying to explain to you why they think this particular functionality will not work. Maybe they don't have the right architecture, they don't have the right resources to be able to do that. How to really show your empathy in that process is, you use phrases like, oh, okay, I know what you're trying to say. I get that that's important for you. I totally see that. You're totally right. I see, I understand. All those things as well helps to sharpen your communication skills, because it shows that you understand them, you value them, and it makes them feel they are heard as well. And that helps to improve, promote, and build your working relationship with your clients. Because I think empathy is a must-have skills we need in today's world. For you to really strive, you need to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes, able to see them, understand them, and make them feel they are heard as well. And there are different ways to elevate your empathy skills. There are different ways to sharpen your empathy skills. And think number one is asking people how they feel. You're handling a meeting, you're anchoring a meeting, or you're chairing a meeting. The first is, oh, how are you guys doing today? How are you doing? What's your energy level? How are you feeling today? It's when there's a saying that talks about when you want the cooperations of humans around you, you must make them feel very important. That's what empathy does. So when you already ask people how they're doing, I hope your day is going well, there's a way it has calmed them. They already believe in you, and it's very easy for them to do whatever you want them to do. That's we human. That's how we're wired as well. So, first is, ask people how they feel. And secondly, also adopt a caring and a considerate approach. It's not all the time that everything goes your way. For you to develop your empathy skills at times, you have to be able to be considerate in your approach. It's not about, I want this particular way, I want it to be this way. That's not caring. That's just about being selfish as well. So empathy entails you being caring, you adopting a considerate approach as well. And it also entails, asking questions that allow people to express themselves. When people are speaking, asking questions so they can able to explain why they think this is the best way to go against this way, why they think their own approach make more sense than yours as well, or why they think the approach is the best way for this particular projects we are doing as well. Asking the right questions. And also think a way to also sharpen your empathy skills is allowing people to finish speaking before you interrupt them or before you say something. When someone is speaking, interrupting them shows you don't have respect for them, shows that you don't care so much about them. It also shows how weak your communication skills are as well. It shows that you don't have empathy for people. When someone is trying to explain to you, what I think these user stories are not clear enough as a business analyst, I think this acceptance criteria are not clear enough. You allow those QA, you allow those development teams, you allow your key stakeholders fully express themselves, then you could jump in and explain your rationale why you do it in a certain way as well. So I think, and also empathy also entails you monitoring your body language as often as possible. It's very key. Monitoring your body language and showing care and showing how showing people that you heard them and you're considering your approach.
Yeah.
I just want to remind our viewers, we are live and we're taking your questions live. So put them in the box here and Jane can help us answer those questions after we go through a little bit more here. I just wanted to add in the empathy part. Susan often talks about business analysis as being a relationship business. I think that's a perfect way to describe this. To me, when I hear empathy, I also want to remind people too that we're all humans. So we might be there thinking about business, all about business, solving business problems, but at the end of the day, we're interacting with humans. So keep that in mind, give people grace. Someone might be having a hard time with an elderly parent they're taking care of that day. So just keep that in mind and give people a bit of grace in terms of what they're working through and really try to relate to them.
Yeah, trust is such an important part of the work that we do as business analysis professionals, because many times we are asking people uncomfortable questions, or we are part of something that is confidential or that might be triggering for someone. So understanding empathy, understanding how you can show empathy, I think is really important to building trust with your stakeholders. So I think it's essential. And Jane, you mentioned, I think, something else that is essential to empathy, which is the use of inclusive and respectful language. How we talk to others is equally important. And in the ways that we talk about ourselves in the plural sense can really matter. So talk about respectful and inclusive language for a moment.
Thank you. So yes, the use of inclusive and respectful language is key for you to be able to build the communication skills. Like I did mention, if you want the corporations of humans around you, you must make them feel very important. Humans are wired that way, because if you want me to, do your work very well, if you want me to have cooperativity, you have to show me respect as well. Choosing words wisely is one of the most important things you can do to improve your communication skills. When people see that you speak with them kindness, they see that you speak with them with kindness, with respect, with the empathy, they draw close to you automatically, and people want to sing your praises and tell you, oh, Susan is a great she has great skills to lead this project. I think Susan can deliver this project. I think Scott can do it because he has great leadership skills. He has great leadership skills because he can speak with kindness, because leadership is not really about title. It's about what you do and how you lead people to be able to be the best version of themselves, irrespective of the initiative or the project that you're handling. So I think using inclusive word, considerate language shows you respect your colleagues, shows you respect your stakeholders. It helps to portray you positively and your professional image. For instance, you can use words like us, we, instead of I. For instance, you're handling a project and you've already gotten the feedback from the development team that, so, okay, Jay, this project, we don't have the right architecture to build this kind of project right now. It's something we can plan ahead in Q4. It's something we can plan ahead in Q2. It's something that we don't have the right resources. We don't have the right bandwidth. So when you're having a discussion with your key stakeholders, or when you're meeting with them, instead of saying, okay, I think we should move this project to the next quarter because we don't have the resources. Then you use inclusive word like, oh, my team has, we have collaborated together. We have discussed, we've done a couple of research, some insight, and we think that this particular requirement will not be able to produce this right now. We don't have the right resources because we've done a lot of research. It shows that you care. It shows that you shows your leadership skills. It shows that you value them, you respect them. So tomorrow people can come together and collaborate with you better and come up with ideas because you're including them and you're using kind words and you're using empathy to engage your team as well. And that helps to build your credibility. That also helps to build your personal image. The benefit of using inclusive and respectful languages helps you to, helps to avoid conflict at work, because conflict is inevitable. which is setting, but the minimal conflict you have, the better for you as well. Nobody wants to have too much enemies. That's a simple truth. So the less that you have, the better for you as well. When they see you, someone who use inclusive words and see you use respectful words, it's your conflict will be very minimal. People will definitely want to allow you do your stuff in a way because they see that you're respectful and you're kind as well. When you also use inclusive and respectful words, it helps you to think about your words. It gives you time to think about your words before you just push out. It helps you to be very clear, because when you have good stuff to say, where you have kind words to say, you'll be very careful what you put out there in the world. You'll be very careful how you engage your key stakeholders. You'll be very careful how to commit to projects, deliverables, timeline, and schedule. You'll be very careful how you engage people, because you want to use respectful words. You want to use inclusive words. It gives you time to think through before you push those words out. And it also helps you to build your reputation as well. When people see you as someone who has that amazing brand that is full of kind words, empathy, people drag you into different projects. People ask for your insight. People reach out to you, even your managers. Okay, Scott, I think you have the right skills to be able to lead this project. I will support you. Go ahead and spearhead it as well. And that helps to sharpen your communication skills. And that helps to, and people ordinarily want you to mentor them. People want you to, coach them, because they know that you have the skills and capacity to be able to do that as well.
We often get questions about dealing with difficult personality types. So I know we did a podcast with that just before the holidays with Mindy Bohannon, difficult conversations. But I think if you are known as somebody who is respectful, who is able to have to demonstrate through your words that you are part of the team, and through your actions, right? That you are part of the team. You are in this to make sure that you all achieve outcomes. When you are known for those qualities, conflict looks very different. Conflict, it becomes, it doesn't become personal. It really becomes about that issue. And you can resolve that because both sides know that you are somebody that can be trusted. You are somebody that is fair. You can speak your mind, but not be seen as somebody that is rude or intolerant. So if you are working in a scenario where you do have some difficult personalities who make communication challenging, my suggestion is make that a challenge for 2024. Work on having great relationships with those folks, and you'll see a difference in how you communicate with them. And I think inclusive and respectful language is tops on that list. I mean, it really is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So maybe let's talk about that last one. And we are starting to get some questions in, but this one maybe will be short. Be concise.
Mic drop.
That's right. Mic drop. There you go.
Yeah, I strongly believe that having a concise communication is one of the top skills of mastering your communication skills. Trying to be concise as possible with your verbal and your written communication, because colleagues, your stakeholders, your managers are likely to appreciate your communication if they are very clear and to the point. Just go straight to the point. There's no way of talking too much. You have a meeting, you're anchoring a meeting, and you already come up with strategy. You come up with you've already analyzed the current state. You analyze to define your future state. And you being a problem solver as a business analyst professional, you just come up with those pointers, those points, and you think what can help turn around the business, what can help turn around the organization processes as well. So I think being concise is very great in terms of your verbal and your written communication. And there are different ways to help sharpen your concise, helping your communication to be very concise. And the first is plan what you want to say. If you have a meeting, I know most of our meetings, especially business analysis meetings, are already planned meetings. Probably, I know there are some meetings that you can be dragged upon. Okay, there's a meeting you just need to attend as well. But I don't think that might be too often. But most meetings are planned. Plan what you want to say, have some, keynotes, some point that you want to say, and that helps you to be very concise because you already know what you want to say. You already know those areas you want to touch upon, and makes your communication very clear and on the points. And two, as well, be mindful of over-explaining. There's no point of over-explaining. Just go straight to the points, because when you begin to start over-explaining, it shows that you don't really know what you're trying to do. It shows that you're it shows a little mismatch on your understanding as well. Just as clear as often as you can. And three, trying to refrain from using fillers words. I know using fillers words, it's not 100% possible not to use fillers words, but as quick as possible, as often as you can, try as minimize the fillers words, because when you minimize the fillers words, it helps to show your credibility, shows that your communication skills is strong, you're building your communication skills, and it shows that you has that credibility as well. And also consider your audience as well when you're engaging your audience. So for instance, you're talking to key stakeholders, which are maybe the sales teams or the marketing teams. You can't be using technical jargons for those set of target audience, because they won't really understand. And communications is a two-way thing. You have to ensure that what you're putting out there, the next party understand what you're trying to say. That's what communication is. When you're saying that they don't understand, you're not communicating. So knowing your target audience, you're talking to the sales teams or the customer experience team, and you're using technical things that like architectural designs, UI, UX design, and those technical things that some set of key stakeholders, which are your developers, UX designers, the QA understands, they won't get you, meaning you're not communicating. So understand your target audience before you know the kind of right words and right pointers to share with them as well. I think finally as well, it helps how to improve your concise skills in communication is record yourself, record your speaking. I still record my speaking at times. I record my speaking, and that's what Toastmasters really helped me to do, and build that as well. Record your speaking, you go back and listen to your speakings. It helps you to identify your strengths in your delivery, understand your weaknesses, and look at areas you need to work upon and areas you need to master better as well. So I think these areas can help you. These pointers can also help to improve your communication skills in terms of being concise in your delivery.
And Jane, just to clarify for those people that aren't familiar, when you're talking about using filler words, it's the ums and ahs that we sometimes interject. Is that what you mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Those words, those filler words. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I was at a session put on at BBC, the Building Business
Capability.
Thank you. Conference. And a leader was talking about how to communicate to leadership, and concise was the key message. And it was interesting. The suggestion there was, if you've got a PowerPoint deck, show me the last slide first. Tell me what the conclusion is as a leader, because I have little time. So tell me that first, and then if we need the background, we'll get into it. So being concise can be different depending on who you're talking to. So those examples that you use, Jane, are really good. And when it comes to leaders, it's extremely important to be concise. Get to the point quick.
Hey, by the way, Jane, you said this, and I wrote this down because I think this is very true. You said, when you're talking and they don't understand, you're not communicating. And I think that's really important, right? Because communicating is about sending, but it's mostly about the receiving. And so if the receiver is not picking up what you're putting down, you are not communicating. So I think that's a great statement. And I tell you what, because we've got just a couple of minutes left, I want to take some questions, but Jane, I want you to finish up your thought there.
So what I would say is communication skills is something that is not just a one-stop. It's not something you learn today and, oh, I'm perfect now. I don't need communication skills. It's because the world is changing, the world is evolving. We all know that we're in the fast-paced world today. Things are happening. There's so many information out there you don't even seek that is seeking you. So it's very pertinent to always be on top of what you're doing, and how to be on top of what you're doing, being a business analyst professional or any job title you are into as well, or either your personal life, your entrepreneur life. It's always good to develop your communication skills. So I recommend you, take your communication skills serious, because it's very vital. Because how you talk to people, like for instance, when I have an engagement with you, a discussion with you, it's give me a signal that if I will be able to talk to you the next time. Communication skills helps to improve your leadership skills. If you want to be a leader, first of all, leadership is not really about title. Everyone is a leader. You don't have to wear a title. You don't have to wear a title hat to be a leader. At home, your personal life, you're a leader. You're responsible to yourself. You're a leader as well. You're leading yourself. So it's for you to grow into that leadership ladder, you have to have a great communication skills. because you should be able to have that skills that once your colleagues, your team members to want to come to work to the next day, communication skills they must have. And it also helps to build your relationship skills. We know that no matter how fantastic your idea is as a business analyst or whatsoever role you use, you can't do the work yourself. You can have all the ideas, but in terms of the execution, you know that you will not be able to execute all these ideas yourself. You need the help of people, and how to build relationship is great communication skills. If you're married, your spouse as well, you need to also develop great communication skills, because great communication skills helps people to come close to you. Draws people come. It's just like like an aura, like you're wearing a perfume. People see that you have great communication skills. They know you are kind with your words. They know your words are seasoned with kindness, with empathy, with love. People always come close to you no matter what. And people also want to help you in time of trouble. And so communication skills help to build your conflict resolution skills. When you're a good communicator, you'll be able to sharpen your communication skills. It helps to build your credibility. People sees you and sees that you'll be able to handle projects effectively, and your key stakeholders develop trust in you because they know that you have that credibility. You can speak well, you can engage sessions, you can listen very well, you can articulate your thoughts, you're very clear, you're very concise, and you have empathy, and you're very considerate in your approach. The sky is your limit. So I'll recommend you looking for there's so many, there's so many materials out there for you to improve your communication skills. You can also join Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a club that can also help to improve your communication skills. There's a series of leadership programs that Toastmasters also run as well that can help to build that public speaking skills, your communication skills, your confidence skills, your empathy skills, and your leadership skills. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's take maybe 2 questions here, because I think we are just about to wrap up in a couple of minutes. So let's see if we can answer these pretty quickly. So this first one is from Gabriella. Gabriella is asking about how do you encourage active listening in others? So you're doing a good job actively listening, but other people in the room aren't. What might you suggest to get them to actively listen?
Okay, so depends on the kind of sessions you're having. Thank you, Gabriella, for that question. So let's say, for instance, you're having a virtual meetings. So these days, the work mode these days are usually hybrid, and most organizations are adopted the hybrid mode. So let's say, for instance, you are having a virtual meeting, and encourage, and you're having a virtual meeting. So encourage your participants, your key stakeholders to enable their videos. I know not everybody likes the videos as well, but when your video is enabled, you could see who's speaking, and you could see how your audience are, relating to what you're saying as well. And when you enable your videos as well, also encourage them to, maintain good eye contact. Like Scott is speaking, I'm looking at Scott as well. That can help to improve my active listening skills. You are in-person sessions as well, encourage your participants to ask questions. Before you start as well, I'd like to encourage you guys to ask me questions. You can, you probably raise your hand or use the sticky notes to ask questions. Or if you're using a virtual meeting, use the chat functionality to drop in your questions. I'll be looking in time to time to ask any questions. That helps to improve active listening skills. When someone is actively listening, they know that they're going to be asking the right questions. And that questions will help to clarify their thoughts and help to take out any misinformation or gap they'll have in processing this information you're giving to them.
All right. So those are some good tips. Maybe we'll take this one last question, because I think this is an interesting one from Joseph. He says, don't forget tone, right? We can use the best words. We can do all of that other stuff, right? But the tone is decisive, and we can say all those good words with some really condescending tones. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. Like I did mention as well that your communication is just 7% of what you're saying as well. Your tone matters. Your tones take 55%. So for instance, I'm in the meeting with Scott and Susan. I said, okay, Jane, you have to come up with a process map for the strategy. I'll just say, okay, that's different. Okay, yes, I will do that. I'm going to work on it later today, and I'm going to share with you and Scott to review, and then we'll come up with a strategy on this. That's different. You see that? Okay, and that's different. So your tone matters a lot. So your tone has to be positive. You have to project your tone. You have to be in sync with your words. You can say, okay, Okay, yes, I'll do that. I'm going to work on this process map. I'm going to look at this strategy and I'm make some corrections and send back to you for input. That's a lot different. It shows that you're listening, it shows that you are involved, it shows that you have credibility, it shows that you know what you're doing. So tones matters a lot. Tones takes 55% of your communication. 7% of your communication is just your words, and the rest is your body language.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think, because we are largely, a lot of us are virtual and we only hear each other, tone matters probably even more in these kinds of settings. So, well, Jane, you have left us with a lot of really good information today about communication. So,
Yes,
yeah.
thank you very much. And for those of you who are interested in connecting with Jane, look at the YouTube video. Her LinkedIn profile is there. You can connect with her. And Jane, congratulations on your book.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank
joining
you
us.
so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for inviting me for today's session. Thank you.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it. Well, so that takes us to the end of today's session, and we've got a mystery topic in 2 weeks. So you will want to join us. 2 weeks from today, we will be right here on LinkedIn. So we'll see you soon.